That's a nice little beat. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the NBA Live Before Lock show presented by Yahoo. I'm Eric Lindquist. Very excited to be talking basketball and not football because I hate the Minnesota Vikings and everything that has to do with them. Oh, my God. Mr. Matt LaMarca, he's going to be the guy who's going to be the analyst who gets me out of this little soppy, little crappy mood that I'm in. But Mr. Matthew LaMarca, I believe it's your own name at Twitter. That makes it easy, such as mine is at Twitter as well. Go give us a follow. But Matt, how you doing, my dude?
I'm doing well. I'm nearing the home stretch. I'm headed to Vegas next week. Just got to get through a few more days. Then I'll be drinking champagne on the airplane. That's been my motto of the week.
Airplane. Let's go. You'll be in Vegas. I'll be getting married. Basically opposite lifestyles. Let's go. I mean, both partying, just in different ways, I suppose.
Both equally expensive, depending on who's involved.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that. As if I wasn't in a bad enough mood as it is. Everybody hit that like button. Get me out of this funk. Hit that comment. Well, hit the comment. What am I talking about? Hit the subscribe button. Jordan Klein, don't give me that look. This is not the time. This is not the moment, my guy. And then also, if you want to hit that notification bell, you know when this and all the other content at Awesemo is going live. I'm excited to be talking some NBA. We just got some massive news that dropped. Yeah, nobody pissed me off today. That's a great idea. I'm very excited about that. I've just got this smile. It's fake, but here we go. We've got Malcolm Brogdon. We're ready to rock. He's out. We just got that news in. There's a lot of news that's going to be rolling in for this slate. 4 games that are locking at this 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. West Coast time little window. So we've got a lot to get to here, but initial reaction to Malcolm Brogdon being ruled out.
Yeah, potentially a very big deal, right? We haven't seen a ton of Caris LeVert without Malcolm Brogdon yet this season. So I'll be interested to see what his role sort of looks like. So far this year, the guy who's kind of benefited the most from a fantasy scoring perspective has been Chris Duarte. So he's somebody that becomes interesting. We've used him a lot to begin with this year. His price has, gotten more expensive as he's played more games, but the Pacers in general could be a potential source of value here.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, Caris LeVert, the minutes have been trending up. That's kind of the reason that we saw he was much more owned than what I was expecting the other night. So no doubt about it. Somebody to be interested in there for Indiana going up against Sacramento, which, 225 total we're looking at for this game. It's all systems go there. But for me, the main guy that we got to be looking at and talk about here is TJ McConnell. Initially 33 minutes here in the stead of Malcolm Brogdon here last game out, ended up putting up 37.25 fantasy points. That's a little bit more of what we're accustomed to seeing out of TJ McConnell in the event that he gets these starts. And I'm assuming that's kind of what we're going to see here again. So all the TJ McConnell in the world too.
Yeah, for sure. TJ McConnell, great play at 5,300 on DraftKings. He's a little more expensive, $6K on FanDuel, but fine with that too. Like you said, he's a guy that, is usually like a fantasy point per minute type of player. So if we can realistically pencil him in for 30 plus minutes, then yeah, he's a strong option.
Yeah. We got a super chat here right off the bat. Slick Messi. No cap Jordan, but coming with some nice tracks. Oh, my dude, putting the team on his back. A little bit of that.
For Madden.
Oh, it's Darren Sharper, the most hardest hitting safety in the league. All right. If nobody knows what I'm talking about, there's Google. Use it. But here we go. We go position by position here on this show. Very much looking forward to it. We'll talk a little Yahoo here as we go as well. I'm playing 3 sites because that's normally what you do while you've got a bunch of NFL in play here, and I have no idea what's going on with that. But of course, we had a bunch of other news that really popped up earlier in the day. Mike Conley got ruled out. That seems like it's going to be pretty important. Kemba Walker got ruled out for rest. That seems pretty important too. So those 2 pieces of news have really opened up some guard value here. Derrick Rose being kind of the guy that we need to be talking about first. He's at the top of every single projection site. He's at the top of our ownership. What are you going to be doing with him around the industry today?
Yeah, he's a play for me, right? He's going to be chalky. Right now, we have him projected for about 34% ownership on DraftKings. Similar numbers on FanDuel, 39 even on FanDuel. It wouldn't shock me if those numbers went up even too as we got closer to tip off, but he's not a guy that I'm willing to take a stance on, right? He's been very good this season, over a fantasy point per minute. And I think we can pencil him in for, 30 plus minutes in this spot. He played 30 minutes in their last game against the Bucks, went for 44 DraftKings points. He's just too cheap with the role that he has. Like there's no real way for him to bust here. I say that knowing that means I've just put the ultimate kibosh on him, right? But like he's too good of a fantasy scorer at this salary to not return value.
Yeah, on the season, second best point per minute producer on the Knicks, 1.07 DraftKings points per minute here. On the season, that's just going to be what you're expecting out of Derrick Rose. And now you also take Kemba out of there. You just give him those extra minutes. You give him the extra usage. It is all systems go here for him. I will say the one guy who I'm just kind of surprised how good he's been this entire season. I guess we'll get to him a little bit more at the forward spot, but he's point guard, small forward eligible on DK, and he's got like 3% ownership, 6,800 RJ Barrett. I'm just saying, it's pretty absurd, just kind of absurd how incredible this guy can be in kind of limited number here. I'll just say his usage is way up, 32.5, 24.4 the last two games. We're seeing him be a little bit more assertive, 20 and 21 shot attempts in those games as well. I'm surprised that he's getting absolutely no traction whatsoever. Do you have any interest in RJ Barrett today?
You're kind of talking me into him a little bit. My initial gut feeling was that he was too expensive at 6,800 in a matchup against Cleveland, like two kind of pace down teams here, but he has been a little bit more aggressive. He does see a slight usage bump with Derrick Rose off the court. It looks like with Kemba off the court, 1.5%. So he can get there if he plays, the amount of minutes that Tom Thibodeau will routinely throw at his best players. He's coming off nearly 39 and a half minutes in his last game. He played 38 and change a few games ago. So anybody who's going to play that much, you have to have some interest in.
Agreed. And that's for me kind of what it is. Not to have him be the second guy that we talk about right after the slate. You go from Derrick Rose to him. Completely different ends of the spectrum, but one just completely for tournaments, one completely for every single format in Derrick Rose, who's just going to be crazy popular. I think that kind of is the most we want to be extracting out of the guard position from the Knicks there. But I'm looking now over at Utah, and it's a little bit different. So we had Donovan Mitchell out the other night, and that kind of made everybody interesting. But now getting Mike Conley off the floor, I'm not getting a huge boost to anybody on the entire Utah side, other than Donovan Mitchell on every single site. 9,300. You want to talk about an overpay? That's an overpay for somebody there. I see Joe Ingles getting 13.3%. I really have no desire to be going there. He's not projecting out well in Awesemo's tools either. But is there anything out of Utah you want to extract from Mike Conley resting?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's pretty much that Donovan Mitchell goes from like a tier B superstar to a tier A superstar, right? Like he's already been low key a usage monster to start the year. He's been leading the league in usage. I don't know if someone has since passed him since the last I looked, but he's gone over 40% in 3 of his past 4 games. Mm-hmm. He's going to probably do that again without Conley there to share some of those offensive responsibilities. So I think for sure Donovan Mitchell becomes like a top tier play on this slate with that news.
Yeah, so check this out. On the season, 36% usage, all things being equal, 41.1% on the season with Mike Conley off the floor. So yep. I'm just going to play him a little bit. And again, he's not getting a ton of traction here. Everybody else wants to be jamming Giannis, wants to be jamming everybody else, and I'm going to have an eternal amount of Giannis today, so don't get me wrong. But I think it's pretty easy to kind of make way for him over on a site like FanDuel, over on a site on Yahoo, where it's still shooting guard specific. If you want to play a shooting guard and you want to get a little different, play a $39 Donovan Mitchell. I think there's enough value. There's obviously enough value now, especially with Brogdon being out, that I think we can get there with relative ease. But let's go to the top of the guard position here, starting over on DraftKings, and see a couple of these studs. We've got Steph Curry up at 10-7, 20.2% rostership going his direction. Donovan Mitchell a tier below there. And then DeJounte Murray. Holy crap. You want to talk about a most improved player. It feels like so far it's Miles Bridges, it's Ja Morant, it's this dude, DeJounte Murray. Holy mother of God. They are going nuts. Talk to me about the top end of guard and where you're planning on going on this slate.
Yeah, I think Mitchell for sure stands out as your best bet. Curry has a great matchup at 10-7 but against the Houston Rockets, like the Rockets have been very fast this season, and they have played very little defense. The thing with Curry is he just hasn't made a ton of shots to start the year. His shooting numbers are way down. So he's somebody that I'm expecting better things for, some positive regression for, but we haven't really seen like the drop in price tag. You know, like he's kind of priced where he was to start the year despite his struggles. So I think he's somebody that I want to be like in line with as far as ownership goes. He's not somebody I'm taking a stand on, but he's also not somebody that I don't want to have in my lineups. I think DeJounte at 9-1 has probably hit the point where he's going to be a fade for me. And maybe that's a mistake, right? Murray's hit over 50 DraftKings points in 4 of his past 5 games. So he certainly still has some ceiling there, but against the Thunder, I just don't think it's a spot where we want to be paying over $9K for him. I would rather go with Bradley Beal for $100 more. We haven't seen the explosion game yet from Bradley Beal, but in my heart of hearts, I know it's coming at some point.
My heart of hearts as well. I like that call, but also LaMelo Ball, DeJounte Murray. I mean, DK has some pretty tight pricing here today, but now we have the value. I think it should be easier to be able to mix and match some of these pieces. For me, it really comes down to how many lineups are you making. If you're making 150, it's pretty easy to get over on all those guys. You could even be probably at the field on a guy like Steph and still get at or over on a lot of these guys, and it's probably pretty advantageous. And then, you know, if you're going to be playing 20 max or if you're going to be playing some other stuff like that, yeah, you kind of have to make a couple of stronger stands in some of these places where, for me, I think Steph is kind of the guy that I'm looking to maybe be a little bit further off of. Maybe there is enough value now in my next crunch where I'll be able to get up to that number. But I was kind of mixing and matching the DeJounte Murray, LaMelo Ball, Bradley Beal trio, just all sub 10%, all going to be fantastic tournament spots. But now we have guys like Donovan Mitchell. We have guys like TJ McConnell, Karis LeVert. We want to play in some of these guard spots. So it becomes a little bit more barren. Moving our way down is in terms of like plays that are very popular at guard here. Josh Giddey, shooting guard, small forward. We'll talk about him later when we get to forward in the position alley over on FanDuel here too. But Andrew Wiggins, kind of shocking to see 17%. I doubt that's going to be the case. I guess he's sub 6K. I mean, this guy is just impossible to roster for me right now. He hasn't burned me once. Are you going to try to make him a thing today?
No.
Great answer. There we go.
I think I'm passing on Andrew Wiggins.
That's all the time we have for Andrew Wiggins on the program. Congratulations on your 45 spot here, you idiot. Jordan Poole, 15.5%. No, I'm talking about Andrew Wiggins. You're lovely. I'm a Timberwolves fan and a Vikings fan. I'm very, very angry with my life. Darius Garland, Joe Ingles. The rest of the guard position is just kind of gross. Kevin Porter Jr. is kind of the beginning of somebody that I'm a little bit interested in. 6,300 seems like an overpay, but part of it is they just, in some of these closer games, he's going to be playing 32, 34, 36 minutes in some of them. He got up to 40 minutes against the Lakers playing well there. There's definitely some availability between him, Christian Wood, Jalen Green to be getting some shot volume up. Eric Gordon is starting to get a little bit more. I mean, he hasn't played over 30 minutes here. That's a plus to see as well. But any Kevin Porter Jr. interest for you?
I'm just checking. I thought I saw something on Eric Gordon being out, and he is out. That
would be great.
That could help him. Eric Gordon is out, so that does give the Houston guys a few additional shot attempts, but I'm still kind of shying away from Porter at his current price tag. I think there are other guys in that price range I like better, and we just haven't seen the ceiling from Porter, right? Like he did get us over 47 in the second game of the year, but since then he hasn't cracked that 40-point threshold. So I just haven't seen it from him. Maybe this is the spot with two, really fast-paced teams going at each other. So maybe this will be the game where he breaks out. But like for me, I'd rather pay the extra $100 and go up to Drew Holiday. Speaking of Golden State, did you know number 1 in the NBA in defensive efficiency right now? I did not know that. Isn't that crazy? That's a good number. It's a good number. That's a dumb number. It's dumb because you have these pre-notions of Golden State, and I expect some negative regression for them in that department for sure. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it here at the moment. Draymond Green, play caller, signal caller, just,
basketball IQ, all of those intangibles or something like that. I don't know. I don't have a reasoning. Who else are we getting to at guard here on the slate? Who are you finding yourself over the field on?
Colin Sexton for sure. The guy, again, this is another guy who just can't make any shots, which is bad. It's not good. Not good for fantasy basketball. You want to make shots. But I do think that the minutes are there, the usage is there, and the price is way down. He's now down to 5,800. I think that that's a really nice price tag for him. He is popping as a negative leverage guy in the boom bust tool, but we're only projecting him for 11% ownership. So the problem is that he's just not really popping in the optimal lineup. I think that I'm willing to take a stand against 11% ownership. I think Sexton, for his salary might give us the best, like ceiling projection per dollar outside of a guy like Derrick Rose.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. Colin Sexton. I mean, he's not even somebody that's popping in the boom bust tool and our tools here at the moment. Let me check where he's kind of coming in. Yeah, so it's optimal rate around 6%. But here's the thing. We're going to have some Knicks exposure. Obviously, with Derrick Rose, you can always make a case for Julius Randle and his ceiling and his ability to get things done on a basketball floor. So if you're going to have some of them, always nice to have the other piece on the other side, just in case, if not to blowout proof it or anything. But Colin Sexton definitely expected to have some positive regression in the near future. I don't mind that call whatsoever. But yeah, Derrick Rose, 4,800. He's the priority everywhere. I don't really want to say anything else about him. Are there any guards that you find yourself just being lighter on? We've talked a little bit about some of the guys on the top end, but throughout the entire position, is there a couple plays that you're finding yourself shorting on this slate?
Well, Josh Giddey, we kind of lumped him. I don't know if we want to talk about him as a guard or a forward, but he's 6,300 now. So Giddey has reached the point where I think he's now priced pretty fairly. And don't get me wrong, I like his skill set. He's a guy that can do a little bit of everything on the basketball court. And those guys have a lot of fantasy value. But I do think that we've kind of reached the price ceiling for him. So I will be underweight on Josh Giddey for sure. That's kind of the big name that I'm fading or, underweight on at the moment.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We have him projected right now for 23.5%. I don't know what it is about the DFS community, but they love to roster this dude. I mean, he has been much higher rostered than that number pretty much every single slate. He was nearly 50%, 55% on like a 7 or 11 game slate. And given every slate is different, value is always going to be different. 6,300 though for this number, it is crazy. And I think getting the exposure, over on FanDuel for me makes a little bit more sense just because you're looking at him being shooting guard only, and maybe people won't be rostering him in bulk there, but 37.6%, 6K FanDuel, DK, he's 6,300. And yeah, he had triple double upside almost the other night, but I'm just going to be a pass on that number. I'm going to be well under the field as well. So I like that call a lot. On FanDuel, I'll probably be just a little bit under it as well, but 6K for him over there, a little bit more of an advantageous salary to be paying. Anything else that you want to touch on the guard position? Because again, this is a 7 gamer. We're getting, 1 hour to be able to talk about it. I want to talk about some of the important plays. Somebody talked about Emmanuel Quickly being somebody that you could take in large field darts. I mean, for me at 3,400, I just don't think Tibbs is ever going to get this guy the minutes. And nope. So if it's never going to be over 20%, he has to shoot the crap out of it, even at 3,400 to get there. So any interest in a guy like him or anybody else?
No, I'm out on him. The fact that he's like going to be, I don't want to say he's not like, he's going to have some ownership. If he was a 4%, 5% owned type guy, then I would be more comfortable taking a stab than him being, 10 to 15% ownership. Like, people love this dude. He's kind of in that Josh Giddey camp where people want an excuse to play Emmanuel Quickly, right? He was fun last year, and I think people will go to him this slate. So I'm fine with passing on him.
God, seriously, did James Conner score another touchdown? I am over today now. This is so dumb. I'm not here to tilt football, but I kind of want to tilt football. But, we also have an NFL show coming up after this. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be 7:15 p.m., I believe, is going to be the timing for that. But either way, Awesemo Plus tools and content. If you want to have the best opportunity to win at DFS, If you want to have the opportunity to play the same things, and Matt LaMarca and I, the same tools that we're looking at, it's $29.95 right now for a weekly pass. And then if you use promo code NBA Live before lock, which will magically appear on the screen as soon as I said that, for 25% off, you will be able to get that 25% off. NBA Live before lock, all caps, one word. Utilize it. Check it out. Ownership projections, player projections. We have premium Discord to be checking out with News God in there all the time, updating all the news you could possibly want, the lineup builder, so much more. Every single sport that we offer. Check it out. NBA Live before lock doesn't get a whole lot better than that. So stop guessing, start winning, and join Awesemo Plus today. Alrighty, let's jump on over to the forward position here. On the top end, we've talked about a couple of these cats. Let me just group it this way. There we go. Caris LeVert now at the top, 26.7%. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 26%. Bobby Portis, 25.5%. That's a big number to be kind of seeing for him. But we have NBA player rankings that are free here today. I'm reading off a couple of ownership clips here, but I'm just a nice person like that. But check out the player rankings. But who kind of stands out to you on this top end? Anybody that you're really interested in rostering tonight at forward?
I think there are a lot of interesting guys up at the top here. I mean, the real question is, how far away do you want to get from Giannis? Because we know Giannis is the best player in fantasy basketball, right? He's averaged 1.75 DraftKings points per minute. The guy is just insanely good. But he's also really expensive at 11.4. There are guys that are slightly cheaper that I think can match not his ceiling, but if he doesn't hit his ceiling, they can hang right with him. We mentioned Julius Randle. Julius Randle has the biggest usage bump on the team with Kemba off the court this season. We know that Randle is already an elite per minute guy. He's up to 1.6 DraftKings points per minute with no Kemba. So I think he becomes a very interesting Giannis pivot. We also have Paul George grading out as an elite leverage play on this slate. He's popping in the optimal more than Giannis. And George has been a usage machine this year. He's been, the best season of his career, the highest usage of his career. He's increased his assist rate, his rebound rate compared to last year. So I think my philosophy at this point is I'm going to be under the field on Giannis, but I will be over on George and Randle.
I don't mind that at all. I'm going to be way over on Giannis. I'm going to be a little bit over on Paul George. TJ McConnell, I think, is going to be the key to be able to get to some of that. It's not as cheap of a tag as we've had for McConnell here in the past, but still going to be advantageous enough, I think, around the industry to make that work. Looking over at the rest of the forward position here, I like Sabonis, but I'm not going to really find myself there at 9,400 anymore against Sacramento. I mean, he's just really good at I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I'm just so tilted with freaking Vikings and James Conner. It's all brutal. Miles Bridges has been absolutely out of his mind. So 8,100 for him coming off of, his worst outing of the season by a landslide. Are you going to be pairing him up in lineups a little bit with Paul George?
And a landslide bring. No Miles Bridges.
Fleetwood Mac. If you could go back in time and be with any woman, period. I would marry Stevie Nicks instantly.
Okay,
instantly. Who's your historical figure?
You had that.
Who's your historical marriage be? Yeah, no. These are the kind of things that happen on shows with me. You never know where I'm going to go.
I'd probably go with Martha Washington. She was just a hip lady, man, real hip lady.
Miles Bridges. How much interest?
No Miles Bridges for me today at 81. He did have the 56 game, but other than that, right, 45, 43, 41, 45, I don't see the ceiling to justify an $8,100 salary. I would rather go with, the tier above or the tier right below, particularly Evan Mobley at 7K.
All right. Well, I'm 3x the field on Miles Bridges, so best of luck to you. Best of luck to me. But one of us is going to win that battle. That's going to be lovely. But I think that 8,100, he's just kind of a different basketball player this season. That tag is ridden all the way up. Opened at 7,100, and we were complaining about how, he's unplayable on this slate or whatever else. I guess he was 6,800 even right before that. Wow. He's really taken a rise up there, but a completely different player at the moment. The usage has been until last game, 18.9%. It's been steady at, 25 to 30% in a number of these spots, some of it with Gordon Hayward hours. So I can't necessarily say that Gordon Hayward isn't the guy that could possibly cut into that a little bit, but I don't really care. I think that I'm going to be betting on the ceiling a little bit there. I'm fine with it. But rest of the position here, finding some cheapies. Where is our value going to be coming from at the forward position? Because I think at guard, pretty clear cut. We're going to be playing Derrick Rose. We're going to be playing TJ McConnell. We're going to be playing Karis LeVert here. Who are we kind of looking to save money with at forward?
Bobby Portis kind of stands out as the chalk value option. The mayor of Milwaukee, Bobby Portis. He's always appealing when we know we're going to get minutes with him. He is like that fantasy point per minute type of guy. His numbers to start the year, a little bit down, just under a fantasy point per minute on DraftKings, but he's easily capable of going 1.1, 1.2, something like that. So 4,600 seems fair for me. If you wanted to pivot off of him, it's not a Matt LaMarca show unless I mention Jae'Sean Tate. Have to mention Jae'Sean Tate.
Why?
Every single time. He has the third highest leverage score at the forward position in the boom bust tool. He's shown us games with a high usage. He's shown us games where he's played a lot of minutes. He's played at least 31 in 3 straight games. Now you factor in no Eric Gordon to go along with no Danuel House. I think that this could be a Jae'Sean Tate night, and if he gets us 30, 35 DraftKings points, we will take that at 5K.
Here's the thing. If you recommend a player enough times, eventually they're going to prove you right.
Damn
Somebody's
right.
going to go on Twitter and tell you how smart you are, how special you are. I'm hoping it's not Jae'Sean Tate tonight, but I suppose I totally get the logic.
I love how
for
every
it.
play I've brought up, you're just like, not really feeling him tonight.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Derrick Rose, we are in lockstep on Derrick Rose. So how about them apples? You can't say that anymore. We're also in lockstep on Josh Giddey. We both don't like Josh Giddey at his current level of ownership. So we'll let the fish play him. And I say that totally knowing he's going to put up 50. But here we go. Wendell Carter Jr. You want to talk about some guys at forward as well here. Power forward, center eligible over on DK FanDuel. Wendell Carter Jr., him and this Mo Bamba tandem, it's pretty ridiculous that these two guys could be on a floor and actually be putting up the kind of production that they have been. He's the one guy that's garnering some attention, 11.9% on DraftKings, but I think it's justified. You're going to have these bigs out there up against Rudy Gobert. I don't expect them to go completely nuts here, but you're going to be on the floor for a lot of minutes. If this game can stay intact, I really do think Wendell Carter has a massive ceiling at 11%. What say you about him?
I don't know if I would say massive ceiling at 6,300. But a good ceiling. I don't know if he can get to 40, but he can get to 35. He can get to 37, 38. So I don't hate that call. I think he's a guy that you can sprinkle into your lineups. He's not like a core play for me at the moment, but I definitely have some Wendell Carter.
All right, one guy that we didn't talk about. If we don't like Josh Giddey, how do we feel about Darius Bazley? We just got that starting lineup. Let me pull that back down. Gilgeous-Alexander, Dort, Giddey, Bazley, and Robinson Earl is going to be out there. So take your Derek Favors shares. I don't know why you would want Derek Favors shares, but take those off the table because I don't think you're going to see enough run, if any. So that would be something I would be doing if I were you. What do you think about him currently at 20.5% rostership in our DK? Or on DK right now? Is he somebody that you're above or below the field on today?
I'm below on Bazley, and I feel fine about that. Even with Derek Favors potentially sitting, like the minutes just haven't really been there for this guy recently. He's really kind of been capped around 30, and he's not all that dynamic on a per minute basis. 0.91 DraftKings points per minute. That's a fine number, but it's not like he's a guy that I think has the potential to do a ton of damage in a short period. So he's got a pretty negative leverage score in our models right now. At 18.8% ownership, only a 12.5% optimal rate. I'm cool with being under the field on Bazley.
All right. I'm kind of looking around the rest of the forward position. Evan Mobley. He's
what do you think about
so
Thad?
Expensive everywhere. Oh my God. Now we're speaking my language. So, I mean, as we move our way down here, I have an insane amount of Thaddeus Young because I don't see how, if you are Popovich, that you do not see this dude play basketball and you don't give him an outrageous amount of run. You still have no Jakob Poeltl out there. I don't see how this isn't a spot where you play a ton of Thad and you don't play a ton of Drew Eubanks. We're talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder on the other side of this one. And I am in love with both of those plays today, right now. 23 minutes for projecting for Thad Young, but he's still projecting out well for me. I have 26 minutes for him here in this spot, and I'm giving Drew Eubanks 20. And I think that seems about the split that I want to be getting to. And I don't mind either of them. They're both cheap enough. I don't really have a ton of qualms. Drew Eubanks, 4,400. He might not break the projection system. My God, he's been really effective in limited amount of time. If those minutes trend up above 19-20 at any point, he could be the one to go off. But I'm in love with Thad Young today, so I'm the wrong person to ask. At 5,700, I still am well above the field.
Okay, I am too. He did get to 26 minutes in his last game, and like Young is the type of guy. He's sort of the opposite of what I was just saying with Bazley, right? Like if he plays 23 minutes, that's cool. He can pay off this salary. If he gets to 26 or heaven forbid, even like 28, he's got 40 in his bank.
You'll need him. You'll just need him.
Right.
Yeah. I think he's a fantastic play. Let me find, again, I'm kind of jumping around all the different sites. 4,600 over on FanDuel. Yeah. He's going to be super, super popular over there. Let's talk some of the more popular plays over on these other sites as well. We've got FanDuel, then we'll be talking about Yahoo, our sponsor, here in a second as well. But Kevin Porter Jr., you can play at small forward. He's 6K. I think that always makes him a little bit more appealing. Keldon Johnson, somebody that we're starting to see really play well in a couple of these spots. Olympic gold medalist Keldon Johnson. Got to put some respect on that name for sure.
That's right.
No question about it. Yeah, if you didn't know. Trivia question, but I haven't seen basketball since the Reagan administration, so I don't know. We're looking at power forward, some of the guys on the top end, Thad Young, obviously. Evan Mobley, he is a FanDuel only play for me, but I don't know how you get away from 6K for a dude who has gone out and put up stocks in a pretty meaningful manner from here and there. I mean, I expect those blocks to even go up closer to what they were earlier in the season here, but Evan Mobley, 6K, one of my favorite plays on the slate. Where are you kind of going on a slate? Are you playing FanDuel as well today?
Yeah. And I mean, I liked Mobley at 7K on DraftKings. So, I like Mobley at 6K on FanDuel. The minutes are just crazy right now. Crazy minutes, 38.4 in 3 straight games. He hasn't shown us the same like per minute efficiency that he did earlier in the year. So if he can combine those two at some point, he's going to give us a really good value at this price tag. He's a core play for me on FanDuel. He's like not even somebody that I'm sprinkling. He's a guy that I'm building around.
So somebody just asked if Keldon Johnson's going to get to 30 fantasy points. I have him for 29.87 and Awesemo has him for 29.07. So there you go. How does that sound? Where are you on the Keldon Johnson over under 30 fantasy points on DraftKings?
I feel like I'm pretty close to you guys. I'll take a slight under on 30, but I would expect him to be in that 28 range. For what it's worth, he's been under 30 in 5 of his last 7. He did hit it in his last game, but I think that we all kind of just tend to remember what happened last. And, history suggests Johnson 30 might be a smidge high for him.
Somebody didn't say, okay, is Robinson Earl a start? So let's take a look at this because I'm going to say no. Initially, I haven't. Let me update it. He's up to 17.31 is his projection here today at 3K. The guy's 3K. You could do worse than playing somebody who's 3K, but even in some of these starts, so last start, 23 minutes, 19 minutes, 27 minutes. So, I mean, just eyeballing it, 20 minutes for the start. That was in the preseason, though. So in those 3 starts, he's averaging right around 23, 24 minutes. The dude's 3K. He's somebody that, it's 0.63 fantasy points per minute is not going to project well whatsoever. But I mean, 3K is 3K. Do you have any interest in Robinson Earl today?
No, I will not have any Robinson Earl. The 0.63 fantasy DraftKings points per minute is just that's a hard deal breaker for me. Like maybe there's a situation where it's just all the studs go crazy, right? And Giannis gets you 80 and you need to have multiple 9K plus guys in your lineup, and then you can get away with an 18-point performance from Earl. But that's really the only situation where I see him being in the optimal lineup at the end of the night. So I'm out on him, even at the minimum.
Did somebody just type Jalen McDaniels into the chat? Is that I feel like this is something where I'm Ron Burgundy and I just read whatever's on the teleprompter because I don't know why we're even talking about him. I have zero, like he's one of the worst plays that I've ever seen in my life. Other than that, you should roster him. Here we go. We got the starting lineup here for the Pacers. McConnell, Duarte, LeVert, Sabonis, Turner, exactly what we would expect. TJ McConnell, a full go for me. I'm going to have gobs of him. What say you?
Yep. Completely agree.
And then you said Duarte, somebody, again, you can talk me into any Oregon product. I'm marrying into an Oregon family. I am very excited about cheering for the Oregon Ducks. And, Iowa State basketball is going to be garbage here going forward. I don't really see any happiness in sight for that either. Just put that in my bucket of Minnesota sports, whatever. But rest of the forward position, I mean, we can pay up for Julius Randle. I'm not going to try to go against that. Drew Eubanks is power forward eligible over on FanDuel. I don't know why, but he is. So there you go. Congratulations. You can click on his name there as well. If you want to talk about the guy that, you said Jae'Sean Tate. Jae'Sean Tate, I think on FanDuel, 5,200. I'm all right with some of that, but I'm going to come up with one guy here. And It doesn't look good. 6,600, but Kyle Kuzma is due for some positive regression here. Back to what we've seen earlier in the season. I don't know. These minutes have trended down hard, like really hard, but the kind of upside that can be provided there. I mean, there's nobody who hates to roster Kyle Kuzma more than me, but he's 6,600 here in this spot. We've paid more for less from Kuzma. Do you have any desire over on FanDuel to try to make him a thing?
I don't know if I have paid more for less with Kuzma. Like normally.
True.
Normally, if I'm paying Kyle Kuzma 6,600, I want someone to be out of the lineup,
Right.
And as far as I know, the Wizards are at full strength at the moment. So I do think you're right. He is probably due for some shooting regression. He was 1 for 10 2 games ago, but the minutes being down scares me. You can throw out the last result. They were getting they were blowing out the Grizzlies. So
Memphis,
there's no need for him to play a ton of minutes, but 21 and a half minutes the night before in a competitive loss to the Raptors, that kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah, it freaks me out a little bit too here. I mean, KCP, though, in that Toronto game, he played 34 minutes. So, that was kind of up for him there as well. Harrell has been playing down to 27, 25 minutes here as well, the last two. Obviously you get Gafford in there. Gafford's the guy we're going to talk about, I think, the most on this slate on FanDuel. He's a huge talking point, but center only over there. Yeah, Bradley Beal, I think, kind of the priority. But for me, if Bradley Beal isn't going to be knocking it down, I'm going to play a ton of Giannis. I don't know. Kyle Kuzma at 3% on FanDuel. You can just play 10%. You could be 3x the field and in a pretty good spot if you're making 150. I think that's kind of a play that I'm more behind than what I was expecting to be coming into this slate.
All right. I'm fine with being 3% under the field on Kyle Kuzma.
Oh, man. You know what? Honestly, this makes for great content. You know what makes for a great site to play on, though? Yahoo. Yahoo is the place that you guys need to be playing for your NBA, for your NFL exposure. You know why? Because they have lower management fees than any other site that you're going to find on the industry right now. Their Sunday Baller, 4K to first, $15 entry fee, only 11% management fee for that. It's just short of 150. Yeah. So 170 entries still to go to fill that up. Let's fill that up for them. It's a great contest. If you want to try to win a contest it's feasible to win, that would be the one here today. No question about it. Only a $15 price point. Doesn't get better than that. And we're incentivizing you guys to check that out because right now, if you deposit $10 or more as a new user on Yahoo, so new users deposit $10 or more, you get that free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum completely free to you. That is nothing else, no strings attached, $90 offer that comes free to you. They're going to send you a card. You're going to send it back to us at support@awesemo.com, and you're set. You get that free month, every single sport behind the paywall, not just NBA, but you get NFL, you get NHL, and the guys are smashing behind the scenes for that. Our guy, Tommy Nation. So that's Jake Hari's screen name. He is just absolutely crushing the game in NHL. You want to get in on those projections. You need to get in on those projections. And this is how to do it. Super, super cheap, $10. That's going to be what it is. You play in any paid contest over there and you're set to go. Stop guessing, start winning. Join us, but specifically join Yahoo because those contests are just outrageous that they're running. Hopefully I'm doing okay when we get off of this, but I have no James Conner. I don't know why I would ever play James Conner. Here we go.
17-0 in that game. How is that happening?
I have so much 49ers defense box too. I didn't see what they ended up being in like the milli and like the $3 and whatever else. I didn't look, but I know I'm going to be really tilted when we get off this stream. There's really no way around it. But I guess, Colt McCoy's the answer. That was always the answer. Let's go to the center. I'm excited about the center position. I think that this is the one we're going to spend the most time talking about because there are some phenomenal values here. Yep. On the top end on DK, Giannis Antetokounmpo, you can play at center, Bobby Portis as well. But Ivica Zubac, I got poo-pooed by Greg the other day. He said he's a terrible player. No, Greg didn't say that, but he definitely was not interested. And I had all the Zubats in the world up against Karl Anthony Towns. And what did he do? Second consecutive 30-plus minute game. 19% usage was nice to see there. Ended up putting up 36.5. That tags up to 4,800, and I do not care because against Charlotte, I mean, we want to have some versatility. Obviously, the main thing we're talking about here at the center spot, we don't know whether or not, the Jalen McDaniels play makes a lot of sense. I was being a dick, but here we go. If Mason Plumlee is out, for sure. Like, there's no doubt about that. But that's definitely going to need to have some roster spots available to you to be able to make those swaps. So being a little higher on this game makes some sense. It's the late night hammer, but if Mason Plumlee's in, that Jaden McDaniels is completely screwed. So just be aware of that. But how do you feel about Zubac specifically in this spot?
I like Zubac. He's got the good per minute efficiency that we like. I do worry that his minutes are going to not plummet, but there's no Karl Anthony Towns on the Charlotte Hornets, right? There's nobody that you need to throw size at for the most part. So could I see him playing, 25 minutes tonight instead of, 30 plus? I think that's within the realm of outcomes. So I will definitely have Zubac, but he is not somebody that I'm like loading up on.
All right, that's fair. I think that he's a good play at that number still. You don't have to get nuts. And again, part of why I like Zubac, and I say this all the time, is he is a roster spot later in the evening as well. If news breaks throughout the entire day, if something wonky happens, it's a 7-gamer. We have a lot of these games, and I'm going to have a lot of roster spots that are kind of clogged up in those first 4 games of the night. No doubt about it. But I think being higher on Zubac allows for me to actually have some exposure to react to something in the event that you get Mason Plumlee out, or some of this other news that kind of breaks in your favor, because late swap, it will always be something that, especially with the NFL going on, people are less inclined to do. It's Sunday. They're out living their lives. They're doing whatever. NBA DFS, you generally want to be by your computer, and you generally want to be reacting to things as they change, because late news is great news. So we want to be able to react to it. So I'm higher on Zubac as a result of that. Whether or not I end up at the 42% I currently have over on DK is up to be decided. And that's going to really base a lot on what we get with this Mason Plumlee news. Kind of speaking to that, who do you see being the main beneficiaries? And obviously, Jalen McDaniels is probably the guy. So again, I'm going to stop talking.
Jalen would be a good call. PJ Washington still out?
I believe so. PJ Washington. Yeah, he will not play. No.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, they don't really have a choice but to lean on Jalen a little bit. So, I think he would become very interesting in that case at the minimum. Like, certainly him at the minimum over Robinson Earl.
Yeah. I would agree with that. 0.6 fantasy points per minute. And then McDaniels on the season is 0.93. Little different. Two of these things are not like the other. I will say that. Or one of these things is not like the other. I can't count either. That's great to know. Here we go. Top end of center as well. Miles Turner, Jared Allen, both of those guys just popping off the page specifically over on DK. And I have a super chat here over on FanDuel. And they asked core plays for FanDuel. Well, TJ McConnell is going to be somebody that's climbing up my board kind of all over the place. Derrick Rose is like a de facto, like you play him over on FanDuel at that number for sure. No doubt about it. 4,700, like, let's get out of here. That's fire it up and no questions about it. Zubac for me at 4,600 over on FanDuel. His price tag is actually lower over there. Makes a lot of sense. But then Daniel Gafford is 4,400, and I really like this play as well. So is there any other core play you'd want to add to FanDuel for people?
Thaddeus.
Thad. Oh, yeah, I love you. Okay, that's perfect. So again, we see eye to eye on like half of the things, and the other half, it's like, oh, Kyle Kuzma, please stop talking. And I get that. I respect that about you. Just calling me out, that's just fine. But talking about those other guys that are popular at center, Miles Turner, Jared Allen, where are you kind of going with the rest of the center position?
Yeah, I like both of those guys quite a bit. Turner, is going to have to carry a little bit of an increased usage rate given the no Malcolm Brogdon thing. And then Jared Allen to me is very similar to Mobley. But unlike Mobley, he's been really getting the job done with his minutes recently, right? 2 games of at least 55 DraftKings points. The other one, 41.25 over his last 3 games. Like, the minutes are all there for the Cavs front court, and all those guys are out again. And I'm surprised at how low their ownership projections are when I look at this slate. Like, to me, Jared Allen is, again, one of the strongest plays on the slate, and he's only checking in with 16.2% ownership. So, maybe it's the Knicks. I don't know. Maybe I'm underappreciating the difficulty of the Knicks matchup, but I think Jared Allen is like a smash tonight.
Yep. I'm right there with you. He's standing out for me. Mobley, I think over on FanDuel makes a lot of sense. And, one of the beautiful things about FanDuel this season is this multi-positional eligibility.
Everybody's
I don't have to
eligible everywhere.
Hey, you get a center and a forward, and you get a center and a forward. That's kind of how it's working. So I don't have to think about it too much over there. Over on DK, I am being a little bit more selective with my centers. I think Drew Eubanks is fine there too. I like Daniel Gafford at that tag. 4,400 on DK as well. Those kind of make sense. Christian Wood, a guy who's treated me really well of late swapping onto him, but I'm not going to be paying $9K for him initially. If I end up having to swap onto some, 530 and I'm maneuvering around lineups, I'm always happy to end up with Christian Wood, but I'm not actively trying to target a 9K Christian Wood in this spot. How about you?
Agreed. I think 9K is too much for him. Like, pay the extra 400 and get some bonus against the Kings, right? I think that's the route I would go. Same thing goes for Rashawn Holmes. Like, I've found myself playing Rashawn Holmes basically on every slate for the last 2 weeks, and he's now 7,300 following a 50 burger in his last game. So unfortunately, he's now too expensive as well.
Womp, 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 womp. A little bit of that. Let's see. Rest of the center position. Who are you getting to at the center position other than just 100% Jared Allen, apparently?
No. I mean, I'll have some Randle, I'm sure, sprinkled in at center. Mm-hmm. The thing about the forward and the center, it's like you don't even know who's where at this point in your lineups. But I definitely have a lot of Randle. I have some Giannis. I have Miles Turner. I have some Zubac. I guess the guy that's a little bit of a different play here would be Daniel Tice. He's coming off 31 and a half minutes in his last game. 31 and a half minutes for Daniel Tice. And again, the Rockets are shorthanded still. They don't have House. They don't have Eric Gordon. So the Rockets are a team that I think could be like just under the radar tonight. We kind of talked about Porter Jr. a little bit, but we really haven't touched on a ton of their guys. And in a pace up spot for a shorthanded team, I think the Rockets are a team that is probably going to be a little bit overlooked.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I probably am going to be giving a little bit of a boost to Daniel Tice. What's his number over on DK right now?
On DK, he is a very affordable 3,800.
Oh my God. What a salesman. And then, FanDuel. FanDuel, I don't think I'm going to be getting to a whole heck of a lot. 4K. I don't want to necessarily use a power forward spot on him. I get it.
Correct.
If you want to get a little bit different at 1%. But I think just because you're able to play a lot of those centers at the power forward, I found myself being a little bit more selective with how I go about that. I would rather, and again, I just got done making fun of somebody for this. And again, I apologize. I'm a faulted man. That's really what it is. Jalen McDaniels, I would rather play, at 4,100 for 100 more and just take the shot, with the eventuality being that you would need to have Mason Plumlee out and then, have some swaps in mind for what you're doing. Just 0.93 fantasy points per minute. And you get Mason off the floor and no PJ Washington there. And it looks really open and really fun for him. So I think I'd be more inclined to go that direction even. Is there anything else at center here that you're getting to? We talked about, the one guy that I know has been brought up a lot here, Rudy Gobert, coming off of his worst game of the season. A lot of guys coming off of their worst game of the season. He's coming in under 15% against Orlando. And let me just say that he could just destroy this matchup against Wendell Carter Jr., against Mo Bamba, no question about it. But, Mike Conley being out, I don't think it's really a downgrade or an upgrade for him. He feels like the guy is pretty neutral in it. What's your Rudy Gobert interest?
It's minimal tonight. I will concede that Rudy Gobert, why not, right? Why couldn't he beat Orlando? But he seems like he's priced kind of near his ceiling. And Orlando is a middle of the road team in terms of rebound rate. And that's where we're getting the majority of our value from for Rudy Gobert, right? Like I want to play him against teams that can't rebound. I don't want to play him against teams like Orlando that start 2 7-footers. So I'm out on him. I think that the next tier down is more intriguing from a pricing standpoint. You know, like I'll have the Allens and the Mobleys over the Rudy Goberts.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Anything else for you at center?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of hit on Bobby Portis. I think Bobby Portis is fine. He is checking in with pretty considerable ownership, but Bobby Portis is a good basketball player, and he'll probably get around 25 minutes tonight. So, add him to the list of all the names that I rattled off before.
I mean, I'm basically happy Thad Young night. That's all I can say as I'm finishing up my lineups. You should be finishing up your lineups as well. We are 9 minutes before lock. We gave you the fastest rundown we could possibly give you here on this slate to be able to look at some of the news. Of course, you want to be staying in the premium Discord and checking that out. We've got Loco here in the chat. I saw him there a little bit earlier. He was stopping by to say hello, in a place where everybody knows your name. No question about that. Did George Kittle now catch a touchdown? Oh my God, I hate this football game. This is truly the worst football game of all time. I don't even know what to do with myself anymore, but whatever. No, is it Harrell night tonight? I'm really hoping that it's not Harrell. I mean, if you're going to be talking about Daniel Gafford here, do you have any Montrezl Harrell interest? Because I have 0% of him on either side.
I have no Harrell either. Great per minute guy. The minutes just aren't there right now.
Yeah, I wish they were there. It'd be a little bit more appetizing. Somebody asked a little bit earlier as well, and I think that this is a great question to kind of round out everything that we're talking about on the slate. Who are your priority spend ups for the day?
So for me, it's going to be Paul George, Julius Randle, and Donovan Mitchell. Those are the three guys at the top of the pricing spectrum that I have the most of. I definitely have Giannis. I definitely have Steph, but my plan is to be more overweight on George, Randle, and Mitchell than the field.
All right. And for me, I'm going to be going Giannis 1. He's almost always 1 for me. So like really, there's not a question about it. Then it's going to be DeJounte Murray over on FanDuel for me. He's under 10%, 9,500. Seems like a crazy overpay, but especially no Podol out there as well. Gets a little bit of a bump from that, I think. DeJounte Murray, just a different basketball player this year. You got to quit thinking about him the way that you've thought about him in the past. I mean, this guy is 50+ point upside every single time he touches the floor. And I think is a really nice way to get different on this slate amongst all of the spend ups. He's the one guy who's above 8,400 on this slate, who's coming in under 10%. So I am happy to be playing like 3-4x the field on that on FanDuel. Think that that's a really good way to go. Daniel Gafford has returned to the court for pregame warmups. I was never concerned about him at any point. I heard that he had walked away. I was like, there's a lot of things that a basketball player could do before a game to get ready. You go to, wherever, just because he leaves the floor during warmups doesn't mean a thing.
That's a Rodney Hood special right there.
I think I know what you're alluding to. Refresh my memory.
He is notorious for checking out of games in the first quarter and making a trip to the boys' room.
Okay. Lamar Jackson style.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's what I thought you were alluding to, but I didn't know that was his pre-notion, or like that was what we had to be on high alert.
The problem is he don't play in the first quarter anymore, so it's a lot easier for him to sneak away now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you play 3 minutes a game for the Milwaukee Bucks, I suppose you can do whatever you want here. But everybody get those lineups in. We got 6 minutes to go. I'm happy to jump over. Eric will late swap to Christian Wood though. Yeah, I'm saying Christian Wood, you should. He's somebody that if you land on at the end, again, I'm not happy that I'm going to be getting to some of that, but it makes a lot of sense here. We got Jordan Klein here, Daniel Gafford. Oh, looks like Gafford suffered some kind of right shoulder or neck stinger early in his pregame warm up. I mean, he's back out on the floor though, so I'm going to just treat him as if he's a full go. Are you going to change anything whatsoever? Because I'm sure not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can talk yourself into a sprinkle of Montrez, but on DraftKings only. He's too expensive on FanDuel at 7,700. So I'm not adjusting anything, but a sprinkle of Harrell on DraftKings probably wouldn't hurt.
All right, everybody, let's take a look here. I am going to Oh, I always click on Slack first. It's just a bad habit. Always going to be what I do here, though. Looking at the premium Discord, you guys think Mitch Robb gets extra run against Cleveland in their extra large lineup? I don't.
No, I don't think Mitch Robb is going to happen, guys. Tibbs loves him some Taj Gibson. He loves him some Nerlens Noel. It's just not going to be a thing this year.
I wish it were a thing because I like that guy. He's really fun to watch and is, I think, for all intents and purposes, good at basketball for what he does, but maybe not for the Knicks. So that's a piece you could see getting moved at some point in time. Maybe not. I don't even want to speculate. I'm not sure how the salaries work out. And then everybody starts going nuts because there are way more things to factor in than just you want him on your team or you don't. It just comes down to a lot more. Yeah, Daniel Gafford, I'm getting 35%. I have no qualms about playing Daniel Gafford over on FanDuel. I think it's still something that I'm planning on doing a little bit. Let's see. Curry, Hark. Okay, so FanDuel question from Soul Dope 1234. He's good people. Always checking in the Slack chat here, or in the YouTube chat, excuse me. FanDuel, Curry Harkless versus SGA Mobley. For me, that's SGA Mobley by a mile.
Agreed.
By an absolute mile. Best of luck. Again, large field, large field. You can probably take some shots on it, but Harkless just has no ceiling whatsoever. I don't want to be going that direction. Miles Bridges question. We had talked about him a little bit earlier. I'm there at 8,100 over on DK. I believe that Mr. LaMarca was not going to be. Has anything changed for you looking at your lineups?
Nope. And I do agree with the point that you brought up earlier, where just building in some Miles Bridges and guys from that last game does give you a little bit of extra flexibility on this slate. But like in a vacuum, I don't think that Miles Bridges is a good play at his current salary.
What about in a blender? But
debatable.
Oh, well, I'm just saying not a vacuum, but okay. I could have done another household item. It would have been funnier.
I picked it up. I ran with it.
You did. You were like Le'Veon Bell circa 2014, or apparently today. We lost to Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Freeman running the football against us. Portis is starting. Stop it. Is Bobby Portis starting?
I haven't seen an update on that.
Bobby Portis starting. Did I miss that entirely? I don't see anything from that starting lineup. If that were to be the case, you should get to as much Bobby Portis. But if that's fake news,
yes, we missed
he's starting.
That. Yeah, we missed that.
Bobby Portis. Okay, so that's gigantic for me. I want to be getting to all the Bobby Portis. I want to play an eternal amount of Bobby Portis. So we have 2 minutes here up until lock. What time does that game lock at? What's up?
Drew is back in the starting lineup with George Hill, Grayson Allen, Giannis, and Bobby Portis.
All right. Well, I'm updating my lineups quick. I think you should probably be doing the same here. Did we not talk about that at all? Portis Revenge. Yeah, no, he's going to be an upset human being today, and I want to play a ton of him here. Let's see. Let's just get this updated. Everybody did want to watch me scramble at some point, right? Is that game not in the 6 p.m. Eastern time window, or is it?
Oh, you know it is, baby.
Oh my God. This is going to be an entertaining freaking however long for everybody. Portis, here we go. Boom.
Remember when he just punched Nikola Mirotic in the face and broke him?
Wasn't that great? I mean, not that I'm condoning violence, but it was pretty funny because, like, I don't know. There's got to be some backstory to it that we don't understand because it seems like a pretty blatantly mean thing to do. I'm also just talking while furiously updating like 170 lineups. So let's go. Boom. Am I going to get it? Am I going to get it? We're going to find out right here, everybody. Upload. Oh my God, I did it. Holy
Bang!
crap. 85% Bobby Portis over on FanDuel. That is something that I don't know how that was just done, but it got done. Holy mother of God.
You had like 30 full seconds to spare.
Yeah, I was going to say an NBA DFS, if you guys don't run a drill and practice this stuff, like on shows, you kind of have to learn to do it a little bit inherently, but it's kind of like I'll take Keldon Johnson. I loved Keldon Johnson as well. There's no doubt about it, but you got to be able to run some of these drills because when you get news or when you miss something that is as major as what that would be, yeah, forced Mirotic back to Europe. Sure did. I was going to say, I liked Nikola Mirotic too. I thought he was a really good piece for a lot of teams. Talk about a bucket. He was a walking bearded bucket. No question about it, but we are at lock, everybody. That was the NBA Live Before Lock show. A lot of furiousness going on there. I'm going to go watch some football. Matthew LaMarca, any final words for the people?
Good luck. Good luck with the hoops. Good luck with the Sunday night NFL slate. Just remember, we've still got one slate to hit the nuts, right? Isn't that a thing?
One slate, put the team on your back. And we've got three guys that are going to help you do that. 7:15 p.m. Eastern time. We've got EMAC, Nick, Terry, giving you all the goods, leading you up to lock of that Sunday night game. Oh, it'll just be lovely. He's Matthew LaMarca. He goes by Matt LaMarca on Twitter. I'm Eric Lindquist. I go by Eric Lindquist on Twitter. Super easy. Come check us out. We'll see you later.